We showed you this report the other day over on CNN, Clarissa Ward saying she'd never seen anything quite like this. I mean, this was just so amazing. It was such an extraordinary moment, CNN wrote, as Clarissa Ward and her team witnessed a Syrian prisoner freed from a secret prison in Damascus. Left alone for days without food, water, or light, the man was unaware that Bashar al-Assad's regime had fallen. Well, Community Notes, leave it to Community Notes over on X, they kind of had a little problem with this. They said it really didn't add up. There were a ton of inconsistencies. For starters, if somebody had been without water for 5 days, as what was being alleged, then they certainly wouldn't be as spiffy as this guy. Here, take a look at the report.
After 3 months in a windowless cell, he can finally see the sky.
الله ضوء روح يا الله
My God, the light, he says. Oh God, there is light. My God, there is light.
روق خليكم معي.
Stay with me, stay with me, he repeats again and again.
خليكم معي خليكم معي إلي 3 شهور.
For 3 months, I didn't know anything about my family. I didn't hear anything about my children.
ما بعرف شو عن ولادي والله ما بعرف شو عن أهلي.
Okay, well, turns out wasn't quite what she thought. Seems that CNN got a bit duped. Clarissa Ward got a little bit duped. This is what you call, you know what? They know the answer. They know that what they want to do. And so they go in there and they find a narrative that suits whatever it is, the outcome that they're trying to portray. And then they find themselves victim to fake news. So it has now come out, and by the way, we have to be careful because CNN hasn't actually said it's fake news yet, but they are, quote, investigating it. CNN has announced that they are investigating this Clarissa Ward report because, things aren't really adding up. It was interesting. I was looking at what you guys were all saying in some of the comments when we first aired this story, and you had lots of good points. I mean, it just didn't seem like somebody who had just gotten out of prison. And this particular individual that first called attention to it, he's making the point, as you can see here, that this was most likely staged, he writes. Most likely staged because it didn't make any sense. This is his account. This is somebody named Hassan Akkad, who had actually been imprisoned as well there. And he's making the point that individuals are never locked in communal cells. That never happens in detention centers. None of the clips surfaced of people being released show a single person in a communal cell. I watched every clip. Cell looks too clean, he writes. Way too clean. No discarded clothes, bags of bread, bottles of water, other blankets, nothing. The first thing he said is, I want to drink water, which means he had had no water for the last 5 days because, again, I don't see any bottles in the cell. He has too much energy, he says, for somebody who doesn't or didn't have access to water. And look, he said, I'm happy to be proven wrong. But the latest upshot of this is that the individual does not seem to be who he purported to be to CNN or Clarissa Ward. Instead, he's somebody else entirely, somebody who has been identified as someone named Adel Gerbal. And he allegedly, he initially identified as Adel Gerbal and claimed he had been imprisoned for 3 months without knowing the Assad regime had fallen. However, we now have a Syrian fact-checking organization, I guess, which got tipped off there from X, that has come forward, and they're saying that it's an organization called Verify Sai, and it's revealed that the true identity of the guy is Salama Mohammed Salama, known as Abu Hazmo, and he was the first lieutenant in the Syrian Air Force intelligence with a history reportedly of torture and extortion. So in other words, he's one of the bad guys, but CNN gets all wrapped up in the story that they're trying to present and finds themselves doing this puff piece on somebody who was a bad guy, presenting himself as a good guy. Now that's again allegedly according to this Syrian fact-checking organization. So now CNN is doing an investigation. And I guess if nothing else, it certainly speaks to the difficulty in terms of trying to get to the truth and why, this rush to feed a narrative is so wrong over and over again. And this is something that if indeed it's proven that this was all just fake reporting, Clarissa Ward and CNN should be ashamed. They were so desperate to prove their point that they didn't bother really and truly looking into all the facts.